And we're back with the second game between Splay and Fredinhiovic in the Farmers League group stage. And now this map is Land Madness, I believe. And I think this is one of Splay favorite maps, I think, almost. I know that he has played this quite a bit. And the gimmick of this map is that you have these woodlines with this rocky terrain, so you cannot build on the rocky terrain, so all your villagers are typically very exposed on these woodlines, and also it's very hard to wall your base in general, because you cannot wall from this woodline to this woodline, for instance, or from any woodline to any woodline. However, there's an even better version of this, where there's also unbuildable terrain all around the edges of the map, so you really can't wall, because it turns out that the pro players, they just would wall from this edge of the map basically all along here to the town center, and then to this edge of the map, for instance. So you can still wall, but it's just a lot harder. So this map typically favors aggression and favors a lot of scout play. And so let's look at the civilizations that we have. We have Splay with the Hindustanis. Okay, that is interesting. It's probably a very good civ on this one, although I have not seen them being played here. And then with Fredinhiovic, we have the Khmer. I think that's his favorite civilization, because he is a big Hera fanboy, and I think that's Hera's favorite civilization because of the farming bonus, because the farming is just extremely strong, and then you can just go for scouts and light cavalry and don't need any other unit in the game at all. Very nice boar lure here by Fredinhiovic. He really has practiced those and has got them down to a T, although it could be a little bit further in here, but this is just nitpicking. Also, we have to remember that Fredinhiovic drank 4 beers before this matchup, because he thought he would win 4 times. But I think this is equalized now a little bit by Splay winning the first game, and whenever he wins a game, he actually drinks a beer just to demoralize his opponent. So now it's 4 beer against 1 beer, and it's 1-0 for Splay. So let's see what these players will be going for. Of course, both players aggressively pushing in deer. That's kind of the meta nowadays. I think it's kind of a shame that that deer pushing on any map is kind of the norm nowadays. It used to be that you would only do this on arena, but now you just do it on any map, and that's just a little bit of a shame, because it takes away the variety, and also it shows you that scouting just isn't as important nowadays anymore as it used to be. And I think that's just because the maps are a lot more standardized, a lot less random, and I think that's maybe a little bit too much standardization for my taste. That's why I like to play on Nomad, for instance, because there's always a lot of chaos involved, because the starting positions are just very random. Whereas here on these standard maps, all the town centers are actually located on a circle around the center of the map. And if you know this, the radius of the circle, then you know where your opponent's town center can be and can't be. And there's actually a mod for that as well. That actually displays the circle, so it's kind of like, you know, okay, the town center has to be somewhere around here, and that just means you need to do less and less scouting. Now let's look at Fredinhiovic. Will he also push in his ibex, which are also very close? That's the other thing. Now all the hunt is typically pretty close to the town centers. Now Splay being housed, so he is a little bit rusty still, even though he's playing a lot and training a lot on Daddy Tuesday, where he plays against Gummibear. Although I'm not sure if Gummibear is the best training partner. To throw a little bit of shade out there. No, I think he is. He has played very strong, and so it's a good training session for Splay who is now going for his famous drush. He already... Oh, I just missed it, but we had some laming here by Splay who, I don't know if he actually killed a pig. Probably he didn't kill a pig. But yeah, a lot of idle time here by the or of the villagers of Fredinhiovic. However, I don't think it was worth it, because now Fredinhiovic has a scout, an uncontested scout, and Splay doesn't have a scout anymore. And I think in that case, it's It's just better to have a little bit of idle time maybe, and maybe a villager or so less, although I don't think he lost anything, than losing your scout, especially if you're going for a drush, because with a drush is much stronger if you have the scout with it. But I think Frediniovic doesn't know about this. I think he will discover the barracks at some point. He now sees the barracks already going around. He will now see the barracks as well. So he may be expecting a drush, but the drush is already at his base and there's no small walls. There's a weak villager here, and I think there could be a villager going down. Meanwhile, we have the scout just scouting around, and this is just bad for Frediniovic because he has a lot of idols here. The Khmer, of course, the villagers can also hop into the houses, so that's a very nice bonus. But the drush already causing a lot of idle time here, causing some houses to be built here, some panic construction by Frediniovic, but overall pretty good damage control. And also Frediniovic is now in the next age. He has the stable out, and he can go now for the scouts. And that is just gonna be disastrous for Splay Buzzer. I don't know, is Splay Buzzer already in the next age? Not quite. I think the man-at-arms or the militia will not achieve anything anymore. They're just attacking this lumber camp, but I think that's not very threatening at all. I think Splay Buzzer should have just scouted a little bit more, but that's why it's so bad to lose the starting scout, because he couldn't check around for berries or other resources, and just had to go there blindly. Now we have the first few scouts out for Frediniovic, and Splay Buzzer just in time squeezes in the next age, and he really needs some spearmen, especially on the berries here, because the berries are kind of exposed. There's no way back to the town center actually. And if Frediniovic goes here, it could be very bad, but now the first spearman is out, so at least a little bit of defense here for Splay Buzzer. Now the first scout attacks. Not that much micromanagement here for now, but Splay Buzzer will just lose the militia, and this just shows again that infantry is just bad in this game. I mean, yes, the drush is not supposed to kill anything, and I think drush can still be viable, but infantry is just not good. It's 180 food and 60 gold just down the drain, with achieving very, very little. And also for that amount of food, you can just get 2 scouts and then have a little bit of gold left over, and the scouts can just be much more effective here. Scouts are also much stronger than the militia, so I think it's just infantry is just not good enough. I think scouts might have 1 attack too much. I think if scouts had 4 attack, even though that would nerf the scout rush heavily, maybe that's not a good idea. But I think just in comparison to any cavalry units, the infantry units are just very, very bad. But yeah, Splay Buzzer did get enough time to get some spearmen out, and that's very, very nice. He has 3 spearmen here, and that is more than enough to defend from these scouts here of Frediniovic. Also, he has built this very, very nice wall. I like it a lot. That just defends his gold here. Also, his wood is defended, and so we have kind of almost a stalemate here, where we have a lot of feudal age units out there, but just not that much aggression. Although Frediniovic now follows up with archers, which is of course what he needs to do against the spearmen, but for now it's just 1 archer, and we also have scouts out for Splay Buzzer. So it's still no clear engagement here for Frediniovic, and I think he will also lose that archer if microed properly. Now a second archer coming in, which might just get picked off, and this is a very bad retreat here for Frediniovic, and I think he will just lose everything. Look at this, Splay Buzzer with less units just killing absolutely everything, and like this archer should just fight in the end, should just get a little bit of chip damage in on the spearman, but nothing. And Frediniovic suddenly, I mean, he has very nice farming eco, that's what he typically wants. Maybe he is already on the way, but no, he's nowhere near Castle Age, and he just lost absolutely everything. And that is just no position you want to be in. Now Splay Buzzer also going for a preemptive tower here on the woodline and the gold, and I actually like that, because it just makes it very hard for Fredinhiovic to do any damage to him. Everything is just nicely protected. I mean, the only way that Fredinhiovic could get some damage is a loop around the backside, but first we have to watch everything on the entire army of Splay Buzzer getting killed here by Fredinhiovic, although that did cost him a villager. But I don't think it's worth it to lose the entire army over that. I think Splay Buzzer should have saved his scouts at least, but some damage being done to these villagers who are now weak and might be picked off later on. So everything plays a role in this game. Every little bit of damage matters. Everything is important. But yeah, the nice thing for Fredinhiovic is that he has this super tight farming setup, this Hera style farming setup, and you can see with the Khmer, it's just flying in. The food is flying in, and that's why the Khmer are so strong, because you don't need to drop off the farms. It's just a continuous stream. You don't have to wait for some drop-offs. It's just bam, it's available instantly, and that's just super strong, and more farms are being seeded. But the same can be said for Splay Buzzer, who has less farms, but also he is the Hindustani, so he just needs a little bit less food, because his villagers cost 13% less in feudal age. So that bonus has been tweaked a lot of times actually. So now it's these weird numbers of 8%, 13, 18, and 23%. But that just means for each villager he just needs a little bit less, and that just adds up over time. So he can get away with less farms. I think both players are now looking towards castle age at some point, and so if we look at the resources, Splay Buzzer having a healthy amount of food and gold, but I think he just needs a little bit more, or maybe needs to abuse the market a little bit, and I think Fredinhiovic will have a much easier time getting the food, and indeed he is already on the way to the castle age, and that's just this Khmer bonus that is just so incredibly strong. And also the macro abilities, of course, of Fredinhiovic, who is able to put down the farms consistently. The best players in the game are able to put down a lot of farms consistently. If you watch the pro players, especially players like Hera play, that's why they win, because they just have 23 farms in the feudal age down, and that's just so much food that's coming in, and that's what wins you the games. Because then the only thing you need to do is just go for this stupid unit, which is the Scout Cavalry, which is then upgraded to Light Cav. And you basically don't need any other unit at all, and you can win off of that. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but sometimes it feels like that, because it costs only food, but is still a very strong raiding unit. Now we have an army here forming by Splay Buzzer with a lot of archers, a spearman, and also 2 scouts who are now trying to find some damage, maybe here on the woodline or on this woodline, and this could actually be very strong for Splay Buzzer. Although the villagers of Fredinhiovic can just jump into houses, and at the same time we have a very dangerous attack here on this side of the woodline of Splay Buzzer. And yes, they find some villagers here on the woodline, and they can basically attack all of them. But at the same time, we have very nice damage being done here by Splay Buzzer on Fredinhiovic's lumberjacks. This villager being saved for now, I think dropped into the house. So very nicely done here, very nice micromanagement. But still, it's just a lot of idle time as well, a lot of micromanagement necessary, and villager being killed here. But I think there's more villagers also to be killed here at the same time by these archers. So attacks happening left and right, but Fredinhiovic now, of course, is in the castle age. He's now going for the knights, so he's not going for any kind of light cap, and that, of course, makes sense because he's earlier to the next age. Splay Buzzer also losing all his archers here underneath the town center. Now the knights can just go forward, and this looks really bad for Splay Buzzer, who only now is on the way to the next age, and I don't know, he has nothing to defend. And on land nomad, that is just disastrous. I mean, at least he is able to save a few villages here, but as soon as the knights are here, it's gonna be very tricky. We don't have enough units here. We need more spearmen, although there is a spearman, and sometimes it's just the idea that there's a lot of opposition coming in that drives players back, and I think this is one of these instances. Those are just lousy spearmen. They're not going to do shit, but still Frediniovic is like, I don't really want to engage here. Although now he does, and you can see the spearmen, the famous Stäblemen, do nothing against the knights, and also the archers do very, very little, and the knights can even dive underneath the town center and go towards the gold, which has been vacated, and that is very smart because this gold is better protected with the tower over here. And so for now, Frediniovic is unable to deal the killing blow, and Splay Buzzer might actually reach the next age. Now we have the archers, a lot of archers coming in here. That might be able to pick off this knight, and that would be very strong here for Splay Buzzer. Just eliminate as many knights as you can as early as possible. Now he is in the next age, 2 camels being queued instantly, and that is the correct response. These villages have all been idle this entire time, but now this is the decisive moment of this game, I believe, because there's a lot of army coming in from Frediniovic. The archers of Splay Buzzer are out of position, and it's just a massacre on the villages of Splay Buzzer. This is just disastrous. He's just a little bit too slow. The archers are not upgraded. The camels, the numbers are just not there, and we have 50 villages for Frediniovic and 31 for Splay Buzzer, and this is just horrible, horrible, horrible. And this is all comes down to this specific map, because Splay Buzzer is unable to wall any of these rocky areas, so there's always an angle of attack. Now we have some food please style economy here, going back to the farms, but I think this game is over, and we have 1000 score lead for Frediniovic. I don't think there's anything Splay Buzzer can do. Yeah, there's just nothing he can do. He's 20 villages behind. He just lost everything, and Frediniovic still has a healthy amount of units. Also still has 3 scouts, so even knights are maybe not the best, or even monks are not the best option against all those knights. Camel is a very good option, but there's just not enough numbers here. Although there's some nice damage here by Splay Buzzer, and a very defensive castle by Frediniovic. That is interesting, and that castle actually might not even go up. Although yeah, it will go up eventually. But there is some nice damage to be found here by Splay Buzzer. However, the camels are a little bit out of position, but there is some dancing back and forth between those two players with their units. So a nice attack here by Splay Buzzer, who actually did a lot of damage to the castle foundation because of the unique bonus of the Hindustanis. No, actually, what is their bonus? No, I think it's for camels and light cavalry. They do extra damage to buildings. It just looks like it's a lot of damage coming in from a crossbowman, but I'm mixing things up. It's actually the camels that would do bonus damage here against the castle foundation. Yeah, the castle goes up in the end, of course, but the village elite is just crushing for Frediniovic, who already has 2 town centers, of course. So he's really macroing up. Now has a lot less farms, so that's also interesting to see that he's basically detransitioning from farms a little bit. And now he's even going for ballista elephants, which are very strong against the archers of Splay Buzzer. And I think this is just a matter of time. Although Freddy, I don't know, he's very, very heavily on the stone. Maybe too heavily on stone. He can already afford another castle, and still he has 16 villagers or 15 villagers on stone. So all the extra villagers are maybe not that strong after all. If Splay Buzzer is able to maybe deal some more damage, and get some defenses at home, he might still be in the game. And yeah, look at this. A lot of villages of Frediniovic actually coming forward. I think he wants to go for a castle drop. But if this castle is denied, then I don't know. I don't think this is very good for Frediniovic. All the economy is idle. I think he's just overconfident at this point. That's how many is that? That's too many. That's 22 villagers or 21 villagers, and they wanna place a castle here. But that is very, very ballsy indeed. I mean, the castle probably will go up because it's just all the villages. It's the entire economy of Frediniovic that is coming forward, and the monk, of course, for good measure. The monk could, of course, convert the camels, who are not the best at killing villagers. So that's why I think the castle will, of course, go up. But still, I mean, this is just a lot of dead villages here, and just a lot of idle time. And yeah, the castle goes up, of course, but still a questionable move here by Frediniovic. And at the same time, I believe he was raided here, but the ballista elephant is just terrifying for these crossbowmen, who are just one bolt away from dying. And I know you want to see the front here, the nice attack by Frediniovic with the castle, but I think this is just more important at this point. Oh god, the bolts are flying in, but the crossbowmen prevail in the end. And now we have 61 villages against 47, and so Splay Buzzer, amongst this entire aggression, was actually able to close the villager gap, to close the disadvantage that he had, because Frediniovic was just a little bit too ballsy. And if Splay Buzzer is active enough with these crossbowmen, he could find a lot of nice kills. Also, he was able to really deny all of these farms, more idols over here, so a lot of wasted villager time. And then we have some more ballista elephants here. You see how tanky they are. They're almost indestructible. But yeah, even they have to retreat at some point. One of them being killed by the town center and the crossbowmen. And I think the match between Lily Vanilli and Haka just ended. But I think that's something that we'll see on this challenge as well. On this channel as well. And Frediniovic is still in the driver's seat, is still ahead, but Splay Buzzer really closed the gap. And if he is just a little bit more active, I mean, look at those ridiculous farmers by Frediniovic just in the corner, and that is the power of the Khmer. And if Splay Buzzer is just a little bit more active with the archers, just send them around the map, then he really has a chance of coming back into this game, but he's just not doing that. He has idle camels here, idle archers here, and I don't know what he's doing, but he's not really focusing on his army, which is a shame, because he has all the power that he needs to really do something in this game still. Yeah, I think the gap is closing, but Frediniovic, of course, he wants to deal the finishing blow, the final blow to Splay Buzzer, and the way he wants to do that is with Imperial Age, and he's already on the way, whereas Splay Buzzer is, of course, actually not as far as I would have thought from it, but he just doesn't have the food. He needs to utilize the market if he can. But he really should make use of his army here, which is just idling. They could at least sit here and deny the farmland and deny the gold. Not that it's being used, but I think at some point the farmers from here will just go here, and then you can pick them off. So it's always worth it. And I think still this gather point of this town center is, yeah, it's still set to this wood line, which is disastrous for Splay Buzzer. But I think once Imperial Age is in, this game will end very quickly, because a trebuchet here can just take out the town centers, and then that's all she wrote for Splay Buzzer, who's really passive. I don't know, he's not even playing. I think he's just taking care of the kids at this point, probably. Now finally we see a command here by Splay Buzzer. I think that's his first action in a few minutes almost. Yeah, I know he's queuing up stuff, but he's not very active. He's not really focused at the moment. That's what it seems like. He wants to go for another town center, but there's already a castle being dropped here by Frediniovic. However, look at the amount of archers, and this castle has to be abandoned. Frediniovic just playing a little bit too confident, a little bit too ballsy here. It's really unnecessary at this point, because Freddy is in the Imperial Age, and he has ballista elephants against crossbowmen, so there is really nothing standing in the way of his victory, because those pesky crossbowmen don't do anything against the ballista elephants, who have 270 HP and 10 attack and 5 range. They're just incredible. But yeah, the Mangonels actually do a decent job against them, to be honest. That's one thing to note for sure. Now finally we have some scouts here. One Ballista Elephant was finally able to clear up the crossbowmen here, and the camels are still inactive over here. Now we have another castle by Fredinhiovic dropped on the face of Splay Buzzer, and I think this is gonna be over soon. I think Splay Buzzer should not delay this any longer. He should just accept that he lost the second game. I mean, he did win the first game, so it's 1-1. He's still firmly in the series, and he just just needs to accept the fact that he lost this game and just move on to the next one, because there's not much that will be happening here in this game anymore. I mean, we can watch the camels. The camels have a nice day today. They're just on a field trip out here, enjoying this little forest. Whereas the rest of the base, the rest of the economy is falling apart, but the camels have it good. And yeah, I don't think that makes any difference or any sense to stay in this game. Splay Buzzer now killing the barracks, but this is just inconsequential. He's also nowhere near the Imperial Age. He just doesn't have the food economy. Now finally is another town center, finally some farms, but it's all just too late. Also, if you have 7 farms, then you cannot really afford to go for light cavalry. That's just not the correct unit, even though it's kind of hard to know what the correct unit is against the Ballista Elephants, to be honest. But yeah, but the scouts, you cannot afford them. I think the Mangonels are actually a pretty decent counter to the Ballista Elephants. But now we have the light calves, the famous light calf of Fredinhiovic, and they will just run into the economy at some point and just cause enough havoc so that Splay Buzzer has to call GG. Now finally we have a castle here by Splay Buzzer, but there's already traps out. And they're already in range. So this is not really working out. This castle will not do anything, and then Splay Buzzer will lose this game against the Khmer, which are probably or one of the best civilizations probably on this map. And finally we have some more raiding here by Splay Buzzer, and that's why Freddy actually built a house here so he can garrison his villages in the end. But this scout actually killing a few villages here, more scouts coming in, killing more villages. But I think in the end all of this does not matter, because Fredinhiovic has more economy, has more army, has the tech advantage, will kill this castle, and I think once this castle falls, Splay Buzzer will call the GG, and he will lose this game to Fredinhiovic in the blue. And any second now, Splay Buzzer, any second now. I'm just waiting for you to call it. I don't know what he's waiting for. I mean, probably he just enjoys raiding here, and that's I would say I can understand it very well, because sometimes even if you're losing, you just want to kill a few more villages. Just send a message to your opponent that you're like, okay, I'm not going down without a fight or without doing any damage. But here it is, GG, well played by Splay Buzzer to Fredinhiovic, and yeah, Fredinhiovic wins this game decisively, I would say. Just having the better macro with the farms, with 23 farms in feudal age. He just had the food, had the macro, and Splay Buzzer just was a little bit too slow, maybe a little bit too cute with the walls here, maybe a little bit rusty, but still very good matchup between those two. They really live up to the hype that we had for this matchup, and deliver in the second game, and I'm really hyped for the third game.